Hey guys, so today's video, yes, I'm back to Britney. I thought it was only appropriate that I review the new Britney doc. So, I do have a couple of notes, but overall, I think for spreading awareness of the issue, I think they did a fantastic job. They laid out a lot of the general information about what's happened with Britney in the last 12 years, almost 13 years. And I feel like, however, I feel like if you know the general gist of the case and you've heard anything about it before, there's not going to be that much new information in it. But that's not an issue. Like, I'm glad that they made it, and I'm glad that it's getting so much press. That was just a personal thing for me that I was like really excited to see it. Then I was like, I've already seen most of this, which again is fine. The few notes that I have are over the beginning half. And then I think I had one note I wanted to add to the end half. Yeah, and that's about it really. So this is probably going to be a quick, short video, which is fine because I'm still very busy. I can't remember if I made a video last week or not. I guess I did. I might not make a video next week. I haven't decided yet. Just with how busy I've been lately, I might go ahead and start doing like twice a month videos or something. We'll see. See how it goes. No big deal. Either way, I really appreciate you guys being here and hanging out. And I just made you yawn, and that's the worst thing I can do to somebody. I'm sorry. It's not the worst, but it's annoying. So the Britney documentary, I can't even remember what it was called. Let me plug it in. Computer before it dies. But I'll have the, the name of it probably in the title of this video. I'm doing so good already. I'm just ruining this whole thing. New Britney documentary. What was it called? I know it premiered on FX. Framing Britney Spears. Okay. So we're talking about Framing Britney Spears. I liked it in that when I was watching it, I was like, how can I get a copy of this on DVD? How can I buy a copy of this streaming and own it? Because I really enjoyed it and I would like to watch it again. Now the beginning started out with Felicia Collada, and let me tell you, I started crying because I was so happy to see and hear Felicia talk about this. And talk about Britney and talk about their life together. Like, I literally got emotional because I love Fee so much. She is such a good guiding force in Britney's life and always had been. And she wasn't there with Britney anymore, I think around the time of the breakdown. I think she left like a year before that or something. She was there through the marriage with Kevin, I know that much. But Felicia, for those of you who don't know, is her assistant, is the title that she's taken. But really, she's a very close family friend who took care of Britney when she first got famous and left to go on tour. When Britney was like 17, she needed a guardian. Lynn had to stay home and take care of Jamie Lynn because Jamie Lynn was so young. That was weird. My baby monitor just switched over to a whole different picture. But she couldn't leave, so they had to have someone go with Britney and supervise her, and Felicia agreed to do it for 3 months because she had just quit her job, and 3 months turned into however many years. So Felicia's really sweet, really kind-hearted. I feel like she keeps Britney really grounded, and she's like a tie to Kentwood, Louisiana, even though her mother technically still lives there, her brother lives there. But I don't know, she's just a very Felicia is not famous. Felicia, I don't think, has ever wanted to be famous, doesn't have her head full of ego or anything like that. Felicia is very normal, and I think that's really good for Britney and always has been. So it was just really nice hearing her talk about it. She had some really sweet pictures of Britney and some memorabilia and stuff from when Britney first got famous and, from before she was really famous. So that was really, really sweet. I really liked Felicia's whole part. She spoke throughout the doc, but there was a big intro with her, which was so good. I want to cry just thinking about it because it was just so sweet seeing her talk about Britney and how much she cares about her and everything. One thing that did bother me, and I can't remember who said this, it was a female, I want to say she was a reporter of some sort. So they cut to like a lot of clips of different YouTube videos, TikToks, etc., of people talking about the Free Britney movement, which was really cool that they shared a lot of fan interaction with it. They showed people protesting, and then they had certain people speaking on what had happened. It reminded me of whenever you watch like a documentary on like Princess Diana or anything like that, it's always like there's this royal reporter that's what they've done for so long, and they're kind of experts from the outside, if that makes sense, and they're just speaking on it. There was certain people in the documentary that gave me that feel, if that makes any sense. And I'm not saying they didn't know what they were talking about, and I'm not saying that they weren't qualified to be on the documentary. I'm sure they absolutely were. But it felt like they were so into this thing that they couldn't see the big picture of the way the world really was or something. I don't know. They just kept talking about Britney. Like, what I'm specifically speaking on is this one woman. I wish I had a clip of her, but she was talking about the phenomena of Britney getting huge. Now, absolutely, it was a phenomena, but it wasn't just Britney. Britney was, you could argue, the biggest of them. And I think technically the first to come out with an album. And I remember Britney coming out with her album. It was huge. It was a big deal. But the bubblegum pop movement as a whole was really the big deal, that all these female solo artists started coming out. But this one woman was saying how boy bands were the it thing. Boy bands were all the rage then because girls didn't sell. And I'm like, bitch, did you ever hear about the Spice Girls? Like, the Spice Girls were way bigger than any other of the boy band groups that came out, and they came out beforehand. Like, they were bigger before Backstreet Boys or NSYNC, not before New Kids on the Block, and that was a big craze. But the Spice Girls were like international. They were fucking huge. So when she said that, I was like, oh my God, I'm kind of like not trusting anything that you say from now on. Like, it just, I don't know, it just rubbed me the wrong way, because it was like, it wasn't, there was definitely a step that needed to be taken by more female artists, but it wasn't like Britney was the first female to like make it big. And I was just so, if you never heard of Tiffany from the 80s, like Cyndi Lauper, Janet Jackson, I could go on, Madonna. I mean, it was just weird how she was talking about it. Like, girls don't sell. And I was like, no, they do. But I think more the issue, and I'm really glad they talked about it, was that girls didn't sell for just being girls or singers or good dancers. They sold for basically the sexualization of these teenagers. Now, you could argue that the boy bands were very much sexualized as well, because they were. You saw a lot of them shirtless, a lot of them dressing really sexy in the videos and stuff, but not to the same level as the females. And Britney was the big pioneer in that. They cut to a lot of the things asking her about her virginity, which is just disgusting, because they're asking a minor if she's had sex or not. Like, it's just fucking weird that was ever acceptable. And it's really heartbreaking that she went through that, and that's a trauma I don't even think Britney even knows that she went through, because I think she's still stuck in that bubble, if that makes any sense. I don't feel like anyone's ever looked at Britney and been like, that's fucking weird that anyone would ask you that. I know she has an opinion on later in life. She was like, I wish I'd never said anything, and I know it pissed her off, and I know it frustrated her. But I think there's some level of normalcy with Britney that's just gonna happen. That's just normal, and it's not. It's disgusting. But I was really glad they touched on that. Now, there was a tour director and backup dancer of hers that spoke on how much Britney was involved, especially back in the day. Now, this is something like a side note that had clicked for me recently. I saw, I think, a YouTube video or something about this. he was talking about how much she had absolute creative control for her tours, for everything she did. She wasn't going to do something if she didn't like it. I don't know if anyone's ever heard, supposedly the original concept of Baby One More Time, the music video was her like on a huge record player. I don't remember, she was dressed up like a music note or something. It was really dorky sounding. She hated it. She was humiliated. And she came up with the idea, supposedly, for Baby One More Time, for the schoolgirl, all that. Now, how sexy did she make it versus how sexy did, you know, everyone else involved make it? I don't know. But it was a genius move. I mean, it really put her on the map. So he talks about her having all that creative control. And the thing that recently clicked for me because of, I want to say it was a YouTube video that I saw, or maybe it was a post or something, is that if you notice in the last however many years, like probably 10 years, maybe the whole 13 years, Britney has an obsession with performing and being photographed in cages. Which, how perfect is that? I mean, like, how much more obvious can she creatively be? I mean, she feels like she's in a cage, which makes me wonder if this conservatorship is to end, like, where's she gonna go creatively with that? You see a lot of music videos. She's on tour. She's always in a cage. Photographs where she's in a cage, like a big bird cage type deal. Like, clearly she's saying something with that. And I was like, how have I never noticed that? But it's true, and it's genius. So, the Justin Timberlake thing. Before I watched it, I was a little bit behind watching it. I didn't watch it the day that it came out, but there was all this backlash about Justin Timberlake online, right? Well, sorry, I need more water. I was expecting more than what I got. This is not to say that I'm a Justin Timberlake supporter when it comes to Britney, because I'm definitely not. Britney has written a lot of different songs about Justin that people may not realize was about him. Justin, I feel like, did a lot more behind the scenes than they talked about. If you ever listen to, what's the podcast that I really like? Oh no, Eat, Pray, Britney. They have a whole episode about Justin. They may have more than one. Just talking about all the shit that he put her through and how poorly he treated her. I don't know the validity of everything that they've stated, but they are pretty good to back up what they've, you know, talked about and read about, whatever. But she wrote, like, her song Cinderella is about him. They show the interview on Diane Sawyer where Diane is like, what did you do to him? He did Cry Me a River, clearly about you. He's got this girl in the video that looks just like you. He says that you cheated on him, whatever, which she did with Wade Robson. But she points out in the interview that I'm not going to say he's wrong and I'm not going to say he's right. Like, there's more than one side to every story. And from what has been speculated, Justin cheated on her a lot more than that prior to her ever doing anything with Wade. I could be wrong. I wasn't in the relationship, but that's what's been speculated. With certain rumors of what he did when he was with Jessica, I mean, he's still with Jessica Biel, but being spotted out with some girl, his hand on her thigh, stuff like that, doesn't surprise me. I even saw a TikTok not that long ago of a girl who worked with celebrities a lot, and she didn't say who she was talking about. She left all these hints in the TikTok. Like, it wasn't really obvious either, because I didn't even catch it at first until I read the comments, but she said something about, she was like reenacting working as a waitress at a party, and some guy who she was impersonating was being a total douche and being a douche to her as a waiter, and said something about Cry Me a River or something, and everyone realized she was talking about Justin. There was a couple hints in there about Justin, and I can't remember. I feel like he like, I don't know, like spit near her or something like that, and was just talking shit right to her face, and was like, I can't believe they let a fucking fan in here, and she wasn't even saying anything to him. Just horribly rude. And she said that whoever she was talking about is known for being like this, like within the celebrity world. So Justin is not who he appears to be. It's like a case of Ellen DeGeneres to me, and he's really good friends with Ellen too, which says something there. But I just was expecting more information on that, and I felt like they really glossed over all that. I felt like they just kind of touched on the fact that he called her out for cheating and he made this Cry Me a River video. And it was like, there's way more about what I've heard behind the scenes than just that. So it was kind of weird that they were just like, that's what happened basically. For the most part, they touched on other things, but it's like that was the big thing. And they're like, he's villainizing her and blah, blah, blah. And now people are mad. And I'm like, we fucking knew this the whole time. Like, this isn't some revelation. But I feel like it speaks to Britney's character and what probably happened behind the scenes, in that he wrote Cry Me a River about her, very clearly got an actress to look like her to be in the video, to blast her. And her response to him was Every Time. So go back and watch the music video for Every Time and listen to the words. She is so upset that she heard him, but it shows kind of that there's another side. It showed that he had all these issues. He was really angry. Like, he was amping stuff up for the cameras. She didn't necessarily want that. And the original concept of Every Time is that she ends up killing herself. They had to change it because it wasn't friendly enough. She wakes up in the end and it was like a whole dream or some shit, but she is really fucking distraught over Justin. And like, she says stuff like, I may have made it rain, please forgive me, my weakness caused you pain, and this song is my sorry. Like, she's just apologetic to him when he fucking blasted her across everything, you know, got this huge hit song talking shit about her, and she's like, I'm sorry, like, I love you and I'm sorry. So it's really heartbreaking if you watch that video and you think about how Justin, watch his video first and then watch Every Time. That's my recommendation. Let me see, there was one other thing I feel like I was thinking about along those lines. Oh, in the documentary Britney for the Record, which was in 2008, she talks about Justin briefly, and she talks about how he was a part of the magnitude of what she had become. And she was so famous, like, she was so hugely famous. She had this person to go through with. He was going through the same fame with her and the same growth with her, all that, and then all of a sudden he's gone. And she's there by herself and she doesn't know what to do with herself. So that was probably very traumatizing for her. And then, you know, all this private stuff gets blasted out. And then they did touch on all the different interviews where, like, there was one interview that he did, a radio interview, and then he did the Saturday Night Live skit where he says that he had sex with her, that she wasn't a virgin. It's like, that's not okay. Like, that should be between the two of you. But whatever, he's getting blasted now, I'm glad. Whatever. And then the last thing that I wanted to touch on was the details of the conservatorship. So they keep talking about how, which rightfully so, she is supposed to be like basically incompetent, which is why she's having this conservatorship. She can't handle her own business dealings. She can't handle everyday life, whatever, but she's out touring and making money. One thing that I wish was more prevalent in these reports is that when she knew that this was going to happen, I want to say that they touched on the fact that she had accepted that it was going to happen. She knew it was, but the biggest thing was she just didn't want her dad to be in charge. But one thing that I feel like wasn't spoken on or wasn't touched on was that she really did try and hire her own lawyer. I think they touched on that a little bit, but she tried to hire her own lawyer and get represented, and that lawyer went into court in front of a judge and tried to represent Britney before the conservatorship, and the judge threw him out, said she can't represent herself before she was under a conservatorship. So the judge basically didn't give her the right to represent herself before this happened, which is really fucked up, which I feel like should be a loophole on the conservatorship if you ask me. But she should have been able to try and represent herself at least, and she wasn't given that chance. Jamie Spears not being, like, I'm glad that they showed clips from For the Record of her and him, of their relationship. I mean, she wasn't close with her dad. She was scared of her dad growing up. He was just the disciplinarian. He was gone all the time working. He came home. He wasn't close with them. He was an alcoholic. I mean, there's multiple things that she and her mother have said about growing up with their dad that proves that he should not be the one in charge of her stuff. I was glad that that one woman in the beginning said that when Britney was little, she met him. And he said, well, all I have to say is, like, one day my daughter's going to be famous enough, she's going to buy me a boat. And then the woman said, that's all I have to say about Jamie Spears. I'm not going to say anything else. Like, she clearly hated this dude. She clearly got the complete wrong vibe from him and thought he was disgusting from the get-go. So I was really glad that she was on there and said that. And I was really glad that he's getting the backlash that he is. And I don't know if you guys saw this, but Britney's boyfriend, Sam, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, Sam Asghari, I believe, said to the paparazzi that Jamie's an asshole, basically. The paparazzi caught him leaving. Britney has not watched the documentary. Sam stated that, and some other people have said too, she chose not to watch it. She was given the opportunity and she chose not to. But paparazzi stopped Sam leaving somewhere and getting in his car, and they asked, like, how's Britney doing? Has she seen it? And he said no, she hasn't, but she thanks everyone for their support, you know, whatever. And they asked him about the family dynamic and do you get along with Jamie? And he's like, not really, the guy's kind of an ass. And I can't remember if he called him an ass or something else, but then they're like, oh, really? Like, do you think that it'll improve? Do you think that your relationship with your father will get better? And he's like, I hope it does. Like, he was so genuine. Like, I hope it does. I really hope so. I really hope so. But he's got to start treating his daughter better. And I was just like, yes, get him. Like, someone who is going to be the closest person to Britney right now out and saying he treats his daughter like shit publicly. That's amazing. So good for him. I was really glad. There's been a lot of mixed opinions on him and whether or not he's in it for Britney's money, or because I think at one point there was a conversation about him being her conservator. But that I think was going to be like they were going to get married, which Britney can't just choose to get married with her conservatorship. She has to have like her dad's permission and all that crap. But then at that point, Sam would take over as the conservator. So hopefully then hopefully had that gone through, he would be trying to get rid of it, but you know, we don't know. We don't fully know this guy. We don't fully know his intentions, but props to him for calling out Jamie Spears like that. I was pumped. So that's basically all I have for you guys today. This was way longer than I thought it was going to be. I apologize, but you get me started on a Britney tirade, you're not going to get something quick from me. But if you guys are interested, please go check out Framing Britney Spears. It was really good, and I'm really glad that they're doing it for exposure's sake to get the Free Britney movement out there. And yeah, so if you guys like this video, please hit the thumbs up button below. If you have any suggestions for videos, true crime or otherwise, please leave those in the comments below. If you'd like to see more videos, please hit the subscribe button as I upload new videos every Wednesday, possibly every other Wednesday. We'll see. And other than that, I will see you guys possibly next week, maybe the week after.